It's 5 o'clock and you're off the clock with B-Scott. Today we're excited to have as our guest Jeremy Risley, the black bass coordinator for the Arkansas Game and Fish. And also over here to my right, I got my dad, Tim Scott. And before we get started, we're going to talk about bass fishing in Arkansas. And also don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Check us out on all of our social media, Spotify, Rumble, etc. Let's get right into this. So not only as the coordinator, but you are also an avid fisherman and you compete in tournaments as well, right?
Yep. I've been fishing all my life. I'm from a fishing family. My grandpa, he actually guided on bull shoals from the time it was impounded till he passed away. My dad fished all his life, and if I didn't take up fishing, I probably would still be in the family anymore.
Man, that's crazy. It's awesome getting raised up around fishing and then carrying on and doing what you're doing with the Arkansas Game and Fish. You know, it's kind of what we're doing here. You know, I grew up in a boat factory, and look at here.
You're building boats.
Building boats.
Yep.
Yeah, fishing is good for the family.
Yep.
You see a lot of people out there with their kids fishing. It's nice to see, families taking their kids out and fishing and stuff like that. So, I got a lot. I've been fishing now for about, I don't know. I've been fishing my whole life, but I took a break. We got in the boat business, and I was busy with work, and so recently, since my son took over the company, and he's given me a lot of time to fish, and also I take the opportunity to prototype boats. And right now we're building a new boat, and I'm fishing out of it, and it's really awesome. So we're trying to get all the bugs worked out of it before it goes from production, and learning all the disappointments in our product, before it gets out there.
Yep.
But I spent a lot of time on the water. So when he told me that he had you coming in, he invited me to the podcast, and I'm glad to sit here with you and learn.
I'm thankful for you guys inviting me. Like I said, I love talking fishing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for being here. And there's one thing I've got to know, because it's the hottest thing going on right now in fishing in the fishing world, is LiveScopes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So what is your scoop on the LiveScopes going into people just being able to find the fish no matter where they're out in the lake?
First of all, I wished I was an expert at LiveScope, but I'm learning like everybody else. I've had Lowrance and Garmin, both the LiveScope and Active Target, and trying to learn both of them. And it's new and exciting from my perspective, but from bass fishing world, it's turned itself upside down right now. You're either on the scope side or you're on the anti-scope side.
It's definitely, you see both sides of it.
And I've also noticed it almost split the field.
It does.
If you're a scoper, you're one of these guys. And if you're old school, you're one of these guys.
And you see people get on the internet after somebody wins a tournament, and they're like, well, he wouldn't have caught half that if he wasn't live scoping.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is what it is. Take your scopes off your rifles the way I see it.
Yeah.
It's just technology.
Yep. And we're not going to stop it. It's going to keep getting more and more better as time goes on. So you either jump on the bandwagon or sit around and complain.
It's the game. It's the way it is now. It's like I wouldn't go out and play a baseball game without metal spikes.
Yep.
So that's the way I see it. So the LiveScope, what's it doing for the Arkansas Game and Fish? Are y'all utilizing the technology?
Yep. We're utilizing it ourselves. We use it to evaluate habitat. So when we go out and say we put out some brush piles on a reservoir, we can go out after the fact and use LiveScope to evaluate fish use. Are there fish there? That's what we're mainly using right now. Presence or absence. Do you see fish or you do not see fish? Hopefully in the future, as technology advances, we'll be able to say what species, size, but right now it's just presence or absence. Whereas in the past, we either had to use a sampling technique like electrofishing, or we had to dive. So this gives us an opportunity to see fish use through the year instead of just in the summertime or in the spring.
And it has to be a more accurate way of diagnosing.
It has to be cheaper for Arkansas Game and Fish.
A lot cheaper. So we're hoping to design a method that we can go to a brush pile and say, be there 5 minutes, record everything, and then we can go back into the office after the fact and count and do all our stuff. So we can count. We can go evaluate a bunch of habitat in one day.
That's really nice.
You know, one thing I noticed, you know, I've been fishing some smaller lakes in South Arkansas, which is good. You know, you got your bigger lakes, you got D-Gray, you got Ouachita, you got your bigger lakes. But the smaller lakes, you know, I'm talking to these old timers. When I get out there in the water, I talk to these old timers. You know, they're still got spider rigs out there, and they're trolling, catching crappie. Then you got all these scopers coming in, and they're more hunting fish. You know.
Yep.
So I talked to these guys, these older guys, and it said that it's killing crappie fishing. What's your opinion about that?
Well, since I'm just a bass guy, you know, I'll kind of stay with the bass. For the bass aspect, we don't believe there's having any impact. Now, the crappie, that is a concern, and that is something we are continuing to look into. We've actually did one full scale study looking at LiveScope and crappie, and we found that the anglers using LiveScope do catch bigger crappie. That's
obviously.
No brainer.
Yeah. But we're finding that the anglers that have LiveScope versus those that don't harvest generally on the same rate.
Really?
Yeah. So they're harvesting the same number. Just the ones with LiveScope are catching a bigger size.
Well, you know, from what I've noticed is the people that are bass fishing with LiveScope, they typically, from people I know, they don't really keep the bass.
Yep.
They usually release them.
Well, the bass fishermen are kind of like that, but the crappie fishermen are more like the meat hunters.
Yes.
You know, so a crappie fisherman go out there and you know, they'll post a picture of their, I don't even know what the limit is, what, 30 a person?
It depends on where you are in the state.
So, I mean, they got these ice chests full of crappie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that can't be good.
No.
Day after day after day.
Especially if it's a brush pile that I'm sure the crappie have never been hit on.
Of course, I don't have any facts back in that. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking if you go out there and catch them every day with LiveScope with the technology, it's going to really impact the crappie.
But I will say that we are out there actively keeping an eye on it to ensure. Obviously, we are not one to regulate the gear at all. We're not one to ban LiveScope or anything like that. But we can use our tools to regulate the amount of fish you harvest or the size. So that's where we come in. We go out and do our studies and ensure that there's the size and length, or the length and creel restrictions are correct for that water body.
I got you. Well, going back to the fishing in Arkansas. So do you primarily go out and fish whenever you're on, you got your off time, you're going to tournaments? Are you primarily in Arkansas fishing Arkansas lakes?
Yes.
For
the most part, yes.
So you got a lot of experience on both sides of it.
Yes.
You know, as the sportsman out there fishing and, the coordinator for the Black Bass program. So you're seeing both sides.
Yep. So when I've been working with the Game and Fish 19 years now. And when I first started, I started in Monticello, and I was single right out of school. So I got to fish a lot. And there was 1 year between March and October where I fished 29 tournaments in that period. And I had 9 weekends in a row that I had a tournament. So I love that time. I was able to make on the water decisions, but that also helps me as a manager too, to get to see what you all are seeing as anglers and then what we're seeing in our data.
Absolutely. It's a real world view. So
you're talking about Monticello. Did they drain that lake?
Yes.
Or is it drained right now?
Yes. So it's filling back. It's filling back up right now.
So why did you guys drain that lake?
So we did not. The city of Monticello drained it because the levee actually had an issue that needed to be repaired.
That's what I read.
I got you.
But we've been working since it went dry to get it ready for it to relive its glory days.
Because it was a really hot lake at one time.
And it will be again.
Yes.
In about 10 years, it will be back to its glory days.
That's awesome. What about Lake Conway?
Yeah.
What's all going on there? I don't really know the truth behind why the lake's drained or the reason behind it.
So what I've been told is the main purpose is to work on the dam and improve getting the water out quickly. We actually had to have a technician or biologist now that actually was one of their main jobs was to operate the gate at the dam. So when the water came up, they would have to operate the gate. So we're going to try to move away from that to have it where that's all done by itself.
I got you. So you're trying to get the water off. Is that for just flooding, or is that for the trees, or
for flooding of the adjacent property?
I got you.
We want to keep our water on, or keep the water on our property, not on others.
So going back to fishing right now, it's mid-April. What are you seeing anglers doing out there to be successful right now in catching bass?
So
in Arkansas,
it depends on where you're at. Down here, they're most likely probably getting to be post spawn. So you're gonna fish different than up where I'm at. I'm at home. We're still pre-spawn. We got some fish on the beds.
What's the water temperature up there?
Low 60s.
Low 60s. So it's really good still.
So we're gonna have full moon here in a couple weeks, and there'll be a lot of fish move up from the beds.
I caught some fish on the beds in South Arkansas, and the water temperature's pretty warm.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like it's late kind of.
Yeah. This year for us, this year moved really fast, and then all of a sudden we got to April, and things kind of got up and down and all over the place, and it seemed things kind of slowed down.
I got you. So for the guys, just in case they don't know, for the guys out there that are able to see the bass on the beds, they got polarized glasses, they can see them, but they're struggling to catch that fish. What advice you got for them? What are you seeing to get the job done?
Patience.
Yeah, you're getting advice from probably one of the worst bed fishermen ever. I struggle at bed fishing.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you struggle?
Patience.
Yeah.
Staying on that fish and not just giving up on it.
What happens to me is I like zero in on that fish, and I'm so focused on that fish, and then I look around, and then I'm up on top of the fish.
You get too close.
Yeah. I'm just so focused on the fish.
Sounds like me turkey hunting.
Yeah. I rush in there and turkey hunting too.
Yeah, I'm the worst, man. It's like you get right there in that bubble. You're like, all right, I'm close enough.
You gotta drop those power poles, man, and be patient.
Yeah. So this time of the year in northern Arkansas, I still focus on pre-spawn. They're going to be the fattest the fish still, and then I'm a huge post-spawn fisherman. I love topwater, so I hope to skip the spawn and get right into the topwater fishing.
I got you. So you're ready for the topwater fishing?
Yeah. What I've noticed about the spawn, though, me fishing is kind of like hunting the rut.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's like, God, I hate this.
Yeah.
Like it seems like pre-rut, like before they go into rutting, you can still pattern them. You can still kind of get on them, but
it's a lot like deer hunting. It really is. I mean, summertime, the fish will get out there in deeper water. They'll school up a little bit. And you got a chance to find them. And once you find them, you can catch them. But man, when they get scattered out, especially these really big lakes, it's really hard for anglers to fish.
Yeah. For me, this is the hardest time of the year.
And I'm hearing that. Yeah. I'm hearing that more and more.
Yeah, because when the fish really get into that mood, they're in that mood, and it seems to be it's much more tricky to catch fish.
Yeah.
I like it when it's easy.
You like it when it's just crazy feeding frenzy.
What's really funny is I got this boat, right? It's loaded down with all electronics in the world. And so I'm fishing. I'm out there fishing, and I come home, and my wife says, "How many fish you catch?" I caught 2. She goes, "You got $15,000 worth of electronics."
There's some major disappointment.
I mean, you caught 2 fish before you had all that.
With her.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know it makes no sense, but I look good.
But listen, baby, I'm not going after just quantity. I'm going after quality. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the big fish I'm going after.
Yeah, so, I look back at the boats I've had and the ones that were the least rigged, I probably caught the most fish out of. So it's interesting that we, like you said, the more electronics, the more stuff we put on, it seems like the less fish we catch.
But we still fall for it. Yeah, we still fall for it. I got every gadget. I look like go gadget on here. I got perspective view, got forward view.
Oh,
I got the poles in the back.
Yep.
Power pole, trolling motor. I got the newest and the greatest of everything. Of course, we try everything out here anyway. You know?
Yeah, I mean, we're testing,
Yep.
But so right now, your advice is right now they're either spawning or fixing to be post spawn down south, up north, maybe pre spawn.
Yeah, they're getting ready to get on the beds. I would say from central Arkansas and above.
Yeah. I got you. So basically, get ready to beat the banks up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shallow
water,
which is my style, honestly.
Yep.
I'm not very good at scoping. When I'm scoping, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So I'm not the best.
I get worried about making a shot, man. It's like, all right, focus, make the shot. Where's it pointing? Gosh, I missed it.
And what's worse is you'll find the fish.
Yeah. You can go on and watch all the YouTube videos you want, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna kill them tomorrow. I'm that LiveScope expert, and then you're out there and the fish is swimming toward you. And you're like, I gotta get my bait down there real fast. And then where did the fish go? And
then you cast into the wind, bird nest, get tangled up in the trolling motor, and you look stupid out there.
We did that last week.
That's a true story.
We did that.
We did that.
We panicked.
And then you look up and you burned 2 hours.
I know. That's that's one
you said that. Yeah. You said that.
Number one problem you'll do if you're a scoper is you'll focus too much on a school of fish or one fish. And before you know it, your day's gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like fishing is never like I would go fishing in daylight before you know it's dark. We're like, oh my God. What did I do?
And it's not fun with two people.
Yeah. So
think about it this way. Before LiveScope, you would pull up on a brush pile, you'd make 5, 10, 15 casts. They must not be there.
Yes.
Now you know they're there. And now it's a challenge.
You gotta make a decision.
I gotta catch. I'm going to catch those fish. And then 2 hours later,
before you just blame the lake. We blame you.
Yeah.
We blame you.
Yep.
Now it's like, okay, I suck.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the Arkansas Game and Fish doing? I mean,
they're wasting our time. They're wasting our money. There ain't no fish in this damn lake.
That's
Guess
right.
what? There is fish. You just suck.
Yes.
So speaking of the Arkansas Game and Fish, so what lakes right now are y'all primarily focused on? Or what are y'all doing in these lakes right now?
So we don't really have a focus. So the state's broke up into 10 districts, and each districts manage the public waters in the state. So right now we're really heavily into our bass sampling. So we use electrofishing, which does not hurt the fish. We basically, it kind of stuns them. We net them. We get them back in the boat. We measure them, let them go.
I got you.
So it helps us to understand. We don't know how many fish are in the lake. We're never going to know to the number how many fish.
Yeah.
This gives us an idea that we can a trend over time. We use what's called a catch rate, and we look at how that catch rate changes over time. And we also look at links. Are the average size of the fish getting bigger, smaller? That helps us to manage the population.
I got you.
So right now we're just out there doing our routine annual sampling.
So once you take your routine annual sampling, like you say, then you go in, you say, okay, we need to put this many fish in this lake. We need to maybe change some environment in this lake.
Yeah, it usually is that regulation working how we hope it to work? Do we need to change that up? Do we need to add more habitat? Or at the last case scenario, we need to stop.
I got you.
Stop
So
fishing.
do y'all go in and add brush piles? And is there like a link you can send me to like all you guys' brush piles?
So you can go on agfc.com and anytime we put a brush pile in a water body, we collect a waypoint. And then I actually helped our GIS department to break those into either a GPX or AMD or HWR file, so that you can go on our website and download those coordinates for a Garmin, Lowrance, Humminbird, and then upload them to your unit and have right where the location of every brush pile is that we put out.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
How many brush piles do y'all put out?
Depends on the water body. So before I became the black bass coordinator, I was the supervisor in North Central Arkansas. And on Bull Shoals, we have about 425 piles. And on No Fork, we had about 221 brush piles.
Wow.
And we're not up there. We're not putting in those really large reservoirs where we have access to trees. We're not putting in like Christmas trees. We're putting in cedar trees, oak trees, average size 10, 12, 15-inch diameter trees.
So you're putting in big.
Yeah.
So you guys found out that putting brush piles and building habitat for bass is growing bigger bass?
No.
Or just
it can in some situations, but what we were hoping for, or how this whole thing originated is we wanted to be able to provide habitat for when the bass are offshore or in the summer and winter time that give the angler something to target. So instead of them out there roaming like we're seeing with LiveScope, we were hoping they would go and kind of set up on brush piles.
I got you. Get kind of one area better.
Why would Arkansas Game and Fish want to hope for that? Why would they? I mean, what are y'all goals? I'm like, when you got hired to do this, what did they tell you? Did they tell you like, hey, we want bigger bass, we want bigger numbers, we want Bassmaster, we want bigger tournaments in Arkansas, we want to raise money? I mean, what is y'all's goals? I mean, possibly. I mean, what is it?
So it varies from each lake. So each lake, all our major fisheries, we have a fishery management plan that says here's our goals for how we're going to manage this fishery, whether it's bass, crappie, walleye, catfish. It's all listed in there. So we have specific objectives for each fish in the fishery. But for us, it's to provide opportunities for anglers, whether you want a trophy, whether you want to go catch numbers, where you You just want to be on the water. So
you're saying a lot of these lakes are structured different.
Yeah. So that's the issue that we run into is pleasing everybody. I mean, we can't. We're not going to be able to please everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, we have the same problem.
We also do have a reservoir black bass management plan, and it basically says it's like a 30,000 foot view on how we're going to manage black bass in the state. And one of the objectives is to provide diverse fisheries in the state. And what we're going to be doing in this next year is coming up with 5 to 10 reservoirs that we want to specifically manage for trophies. So if you're out there and you want to catch a 10-pound plus, these are maybe the water bodies you should go to. And if you just want to go out and catch 60 fish a day or 100 fish a day, we're going to have we're going to have 5 or 10 around the state that you go to those. And if you want to go harvest fish, we'll have these that you can go.
So that's what you're working towards?
Yes.
As of now, if somebody was in Arkansas and they want to go, and they don't want to travel out of the state, they don't want to go to Texas or nothing.
Because Texas is known for big bass.
Yes.
What lakes would you recommend for what you've seen on the study side on having the bigger bass, the trophy size bass?
So that's a $1 million question. So right now we're seeing Ouachita, DeGray. They're both kicking out some really nice fish. But you may go there tomorrow and you may catch a bunch of dinks.
I've been fishing DeGray here a lot lately, looking for a big fish.
Wasn't there some people not long ago? I want to say there was a tournament there. They caught some really.
There was a couple good fish caught on DeGray a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I forget their names. I seen on social media.
Yeah.
They caught some big fish on DeGray. They caught a couple big fish on Lake Ouachita.
Which really surprised me because I fished DeGray my whole life. Not saying I'm good enough to catch big fish.
So what's going on there is in 2006, the biologists at DeGray and Ouachita decided they wanted to really do a focused effort on trying to shift the genetics from a largemouth bass to a Florida bass. So we know now they're recognized as different species. They used to be the same, but through genetics, they found that they are in fact 2 different species. So what our goal is to in this effort was to kind of shift the genetics from largemouth to these Florida bass that get bigger and get to trophy size. So they started DeGray in 2006, Ouachita in 2007. And we're starting to see the results of that is these really large fish that are showing up.
Man, that's awesome.
Also the grass. I've also noticed the grass is coming back in DeGray.
Yeah, and Ouachita too.
Yeah.
But those
mainly
2
20-foot water. Yeah, around the 20-foot range, there's a lot of grass.
So those 2 efforts kind of coming together is what we're seeing. But
habitat and genetics.
But we're also seeing Millwood putting out some really nice fish here last few weeks. Upper and lower White Oak have been putting out some good fish. So.
Dude, you just said that my heart sank.
I'm talking about that stuff.
What the hell is wrong with you?
I thought we read the rules.
We should have wrote a list of something not to talk about.
Did we not read the rules before we started this podcast?
Golly.
And put the 2 subjects together, I just thought of it, mentioning Millwood. We're actually, the biologists there with our help are put some transmitters in some fish to track them to see how they move around in Millwood. And one of the things they're going to use once they kind of find where that fish is, the transmitter is pinging every 2 minutes or something, saying, hey, I'm here, listen for me.
That's right.
And then they have microphones that are listening for them. So they go track the fish, say, hey, that fish is here. Then they're using their LiveScope to evaluate the habitat in that area to understand what each one of these fish is living in. And do we need to increase that? Maybe you're finding that they're really thick in the coontail, or maybe we're seeing that not enough coontail or something like that we can improve. So we're using LiveScope in that situation to help improve our understanding of how the fish are utilizing habitat.
Which is really good, which makes sense.
Do you like the Garmin better?
I've had the Garmin and the Lowrance, and they're similar, but I like Garmin.
Yeah, I've seen the Garmin's a lot better for sure.
Yeah, and the technology, even from the first generation of the Garmin at LiveScope to where it is now, is night and day. Because I never revamped mine. I still got the first generation of it. And you've got like the latest and greatest.
32. I got the 34 transducer.
And I went fishing with him, and then I went back and I was fishing on my boat, and I was like,
well, see, there was one before. There was one before then too.
Well, Daddy always got the good stuff, babe.
There was the Panoptics before before the 32 and 34.
I mean, think about it traditionally. I mean, the first graphs you had down imaging. You just had.
Well, I mean, the mega stuff. I mean, the mega stuff side imaging is still good.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
Yeah, it's still good stuff. I mean, it's all good stuff. But the technology, I think people as what's really funny is when somebody relies on the technology so much that when things change and you got to adapt on the water, they don't know how to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So as a tournament fisherman, what are you seeing? Because I know some tournaments you can use the LiveScope, some you can't. It's kind of just whatever the tournament regulates, whatever. I mean, what are you seeing on the tournaments that are using it versus tournaments that are not using it? Are you seeing larger numbers in one or the other, or?
So I'm not aware of any in Arkansas that we're not allowed to use LiveScope, but they did have a national event and they caught just as many. I mean, we don't know what they would have caught with LiveScope, but they did just as well. And the guys, the pros that typically do good this time of year caught fish. I mean, it was at Lake Lanier.
Well, LiveScope has taught people how to fish.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah.
For years, I was in the top part of the water column for forever.
Until you see your bait swimming out there.
I didn't realize that you had to reel so slow to get down 15, 20 foot of water.
100% right.
Yeah.
So it's really taught people how to fish too.
Yeah, and it's kind of showed the anglers how fish react. We just assume that you throw out and there was nothing around, nothing following, and you see that they're very curious and they'll come up and look at it.
I
may look at it 10 times and not bite once.
Yeah,
I have fish follow my lure all the time. I'm like, come on, bite it.
Yeah,
just won't bite it. But man, that's a lot of good stuff that we're actually learning about all this stuff.
And there's one thing I want to ask about because I don't really understand
why
behind it. Why is Texas
so good?
Why is Texas so good? And I understand they have a lunker program.
I mean, why is it so good?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the geology of Texas. You think of it this way, and this is how I explain it for just even in Arkansas. The difference between in Arkansas itself, the north and the lower is if you were a farmer and you went out and you had an acre of corn, which is going to grow better in the bottomlands or up on top of a mountain? If you didn't add any fertilizer or anything, you just planted the corn, which one would do better? It's going to be the lowland. Well, Texas has a lot of fertile soil, whereas like the Tennessee River, if you think about the really, really good fisheries around the state, they tend to be in areas that have very fertile soil. Think about deer.
So it's kind of like deer.
Yeah.
That's what I'm finding out.
It's just like deer.
It's amazing.
So us anglers don't realize that a lot of the things that impact a fishery may not be the fish or the water itself. It may be its surroundings. A prime example is Greer's Ferry. It is probably in one of the poorest soil areas in the state, and that's why you tend to see you don't see it being a great fishery.
But you guys focus a lot more resources on a lake like that, because it's not
necessarily.
Okay.
Sometimes we will, and sometimes we won't.
Okay, depends on the fishing pressure.
No, it just depends on what the anglers are wanting.
And how do you collect that data?
So we do things called krill surveys. And a krill survey is just a survey that we ask anglers when they get done fishing. So we'll be at a boat ramp at randomly selected times during the week or the weekend. We'll do it 3 months, 12 months, and we're there. And when you get done fishing, we have some questions we ask you. And over that period of time, we get a general idea of what anglers in general are wanting from that fishery. And then we'll also have public meetings, outreach efforts, just trying to get opinions. But a krill survey is an excellent way to get at what the general. We know that we go on social media and get, the very vocal, what some vocal minority wants. And we can go to the coffee shop and get another vocal minority opinions. But what does the general angler want? And one of those ways is through a krill survey.
I got you. So do you see Arkansas at some point putting in some kind of big bass program?
Yes.
In the way that Texas does it?
Yes. So we are starting that up. We're in the very early stages, and we hope to have something up and running by 2026, 27.
All right. And what does that look like?
It looks just like the Share Lunker program.
Sweet.
And who is sponsoring it? Because Toyota does the...
We're hoping to get a sponsor at some point soon.
Well, Well, just keep us in the loop on that.
Obviously, it isn't a program that we're just going to slap together and be like, hey, at the end of the year, we're ready to roll with this. We got to make sure that our facilities are up. We're actually we're going to run this out of Lone Oak Hatchery. So we're doing a renovation there to improve it, to make sure that we can run this program. And then we are talking quite often with Texas to ensure that we develop a program that when we hit the ground running, we can be successful.
And this is going to be a statewide program. So like say if...
That's exciting. I'm glad you guys are doing that.
That is exciting for fishermen in Arkansas.
But it's also scary at the same time. Louisiana actually tried it and they failed. So
what made them fail?
One of the big issues was the anglers didn't really know who to call when they caught a fish. Well, so instead of having, Texas has one number. You have one number, you can plaster that number all over the state and they know. Well, in Louisiana, they had like each office had their own number. So depending on where you were at, you had a certain number. So we're learning from their mistakes and the advice that they have. And then we're also working closely with Texas and getting what works for them, what doesn't work for them.
Well, it sounds like to me they just need to give everybody your cell phone number.
Yeah.
You know,
be done personal number.
Or my
all
cell
times
phone
of night.
Or my cell phone number. That way, you caught it where? Okay, I'll be there.
And we'll run it through a portal on our website.
Yeah.
But that is really exciting that the Arkansas is considering that, and we definitely want to help with that too. So put her name in the hat when it comes.
Definitely think of us when you are talking about it.
Yeah, because we're excited because we build boats. We're in the boat business, and we need big fish.
And we're grown and raised in Arkansas, and we'd love to see Arkansas become a place where you can go out and catch trophy fish and be proud of it. You know,
I mean, we are the same way. I mean, I know we're part of the government, but I would want to go out and catch 10-pounders every trip. I mean, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
We're actively, and that was part of this reservoir black bass management plan. There's some pretty cool stuff in there that over this next 10 years, you're going to really, and it's the reason why I took this job, to become the coordinator. Like I said, I was as a supervisor in North Central Arkansas where I wanted to be. That was my goal whenever I started with the game and fish, was to end up being in that position. But once this plan came along, I wanted to really hitch my wagon to this plan and see.
Well, because obviously you enjoy the sport and you want to help grow it. So that's good stuff, you know. At least they're smart enough to know to put the right people in the right positions to grow their program. So that's good.
Sometimes we get things right.
Yeah, sometimes, absolutely, sometimes.
Do you ever be out there fishing and somebody recognize you and come talk to you and try to scoop up information from you?
Sometimes.
Some inside information?
The hardest part for me is when I'm fishing tournaments and we do good. Then all of a sudden we had some kind of advantage over everybody else. And most of the time, I will not. I personally have a policy that I will not fish any tournaments when I'm out sampling. Like if I'm going to be sampling a water body, I don't fish any tournaments in that period of time, so that there's no conflict.
So you have haters.
In my mind, there's no conflict.
So you have haters.
No, not necessarily.
People that try to cut you down for what you do, though.
No, not necessarily. They're looking for excuses on why.
That's right.
They didn't do.
Well, you obviously know where all the brush piles are.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
But you can go to our website and know all those too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, you know where all the brush piles are.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie. There's been times when we've been out sampling and found like gigantic schools of fish on the bank, and then I would go out that very next weekend, that same area, and see if I catch those. And I never do anything.
Well, LiveScope proved that.
Yeah.
Just because you got the technology, fish might not bite.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it is, a lot of people chop it up as if you have a LiveScope, you see the fish, you catch every fish you see. And that is absolutely not the case, because I have yet to catch more than 5.
I got a good one for you. High pressure days, low pressure days. What's your choice? You like to fish when it's cloudy and rainy, or do you like to fish when it's sunny and hot? Because I seem to do better when it's cloudy and rainy.
The older that I get, the less enjoyable rain is, but I love a cloudy day.
I do too. Boy.
Yeah,
the sun's hot.
Something about having to get out of your truck into the rain to get in your boat, it just plays mind games with me. I don't mind fishing in the rain, but just having to get out being dry and get wet, it always does mind games. But yeah, I would take a cloudy day over anything.
Absolutely.
I would too. Most times of the year. There's sometimes that a sunny day, the winter. Sometimes in the winter when the water gets really cold, I like it to be sunny. But even in the winter, some of our best days on up north have been days when it's snowing. I mean, we've had 50, 100 fish days and snowing.
Wow.
Yeah, that low pressure stuff's good stuff for fishing.
It is. Absolutely. Well, I think we covered a lot here. I think there's one more thing. You know, in one sentence or less, how do you see Arkansas 10 years from now fishing?
I hope it's better than what it is now. I mean, that's our goal. Is always we don't want things to be stagnant. We're working to try to improve things. So my one sentence would be things will be better in 10 years from now. Awesome, man. Well,
better in numbers or the size or
all the above.
Okay.
Good answer. Hey, more and bigger is always better.
Well, obviously he wants a job, right?
Yeah, I mean he's got to have some results, you know.
It ain't like it's a weatherman. Yeah. You can't be right half the time to keep your job. Right?
ain't that the truth?
I got to pay for my fishing habit, so
yeah, you're absolutely right. It's expensive. But anyways, I think this was great. We definitely have to have you come back in as the post spawn carries on, and we get into how to catch fish midsummer whenever it's brutally hot and absolutely sucks out there.
Because not everybody goes fishing when it's hot. But it's some of the best time to catch your fish.
For down here, for sure, down here. Yeah. One of the places that I'd love to go when it was 100 degrees was Lake Chico. Mm-hmm. Lake Chico, they will bite in the middle of the day, 100 degrees.
Yeah. Woo. All right, put that down the tip.
That's a tip, writing it down. I'll go back and watch this, be like my highlight pump up video before I go. Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, we covered a lot of stuff. I'm very excited about Arkansas getting a lunker style program for bass fishing. You know, I'm excited to.
Brought to you by Havoc Boats.
Brought to you, sponsored by Havoc Boats. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
But it's going to be awesome. A lot of big things coming up. Hopefully Arkansas, excels above the rest, and then we become a state known for big bass.
Like to compete with Texas.
Let's give them a run for the money.
We have a lot of good lakes here.
Yeah, I can't guarantee anything, but I can guarantee that we're going to put the effort into it. As long as I'm here, we're going to put the effort into doing our best.
Yes.
Hey, let's do it. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Check out our shorts on our YouTube, and we'll be back with more stuff. See you later.